can bring it up later in jest. Just kidding. Okay. I mean, just downloaded. Okay. Acrobat wants me to, it says, give me a few minutes while the update is installed. Yes. Is this for baseball? Baseball and softball. Perfect.
They're both 16:9 ratio. So like,
Oh, perfect. Anything within 16:9 should work. Hey, Sid, how are you? Eat up. Okay, all right, I tried. It's good. You know, that's the power of suggestion though, so they can tell all the good designers that they know to also come out, show up. You know what I mean? What is the old saying, Will? There's no such thing as bad press. Or too much press. Bad press, or, you know. Or the bench press, if you're a gym rat, like some of us are, right? That's right. She's on the weightlifting, the unofficial weightlifting team, right? Oh, they did? The front door will automatically close. So if you're like Hannah and you've been dismissed from this program for any reason, graduation or otherwise, you can't get in without the fob after 6. So I'm having Colby prop it open. Dismissed wasn't the right word, but you know what I mean. Banned, that's right. Okay. Hey, Emily, can you see the screen okay?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Emily, can you see the screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just want to make sure. For my audio is low. I didn't realize that. Okay, we are going to begin. I just want to take a moment and introduce our first guest speaker of a very I guess I should wait for Colby because I did ask him to prop the door. So it'd be kind of rude for me. You know Chloe? Will, have you met Chloe? Okay, I'm going to introduce you to Will first. So Will is our photography professor. He lives in Malone. And so I know that's kind of closer to you than we are. And so Will joined us 3 years ago and is getting all these. Hey, thank you, Colby. Will is getting all these folks headed in the right direction photographically. And now what is it doing? Oh, sorry. Gosh. Yeah, it's Teams is interfering for some reason. Every time I go to Teams, this is popping up. This was happening before to me too. And then I feel like okay. Command L, there we go. Okay. Oh, well, that's there. Emily, you can still see the screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So thank you guys for coming out. We put together this opportunity to introduce Chloe Shobert, who is our Director of all of Creative Services for Troy. However, what?
Athletics.
Athletics, right, that's for Troy Athletics. However, in a weird twist of fate, Chloe doesn't actually work for Troy. And we can talk more about that a little bit later, but she's here today to recruit interns, and she brought some interns with her and give you all an opportunity to learn more about the intersections of athletics and marketing and design and how all these things come together. So she is our inaugural kickoff, first time ever guest speaker, and we've already locked in our second one for this new little thing we're calling Home Field Advantage. Chloe. I'll
Okay.
turn the lights down and shut up.
Thank you all for coming out. I'm kind of happy it's a smaller crowd because public speaking really is not my thing. I'm a graphic designer. I hide in my office most of the time. So, but thank you. And if I talk too quietly or too fast, just let me know. Yeah. So a little bit about me. I'm not, as Stagl mentioned, from around here. I'm from Illinois, actually, which is about 9 hours from here. So moving down here was definitely a culture shock, but I've gotten used to it. I got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Communication Design from Southern Illinois University, Carbondale in 2022. And I was able to get my BFA in 3 years, which I'm going to talk about a little bit more later on. And as mentioned previously, I'm the Director of Creative Services over at Troy Athletics. And I started back in June of 2022, and I'm still there today, obviously. So something that really kind of shaped my career was collegiate involvement. Because going into college, the last art class that I had taken was in 6th grade. Because at my school, you had to do band or art, and I picked band, and in long term, didn't really pan out for me, but it all ties together. So how I got into design, first of all, was I was very active in high school and college. I took AP classes, honors. I did a bunch of different activities like theater, Royal City Marching Band, all that fun stuff. But really how I got into design was I began working at my high school's newspaper. As a photographer, because I just wanted to try new things and I thought photography was cool. So I was there for a year as a photographer my junior year, and I liked it, but it turns out I can write a pretty mean editorial. So I got promoted to an editorial editor, and ironically, they had me be the sports editor as well, even though I knew absolutely nothing about sports, and Hannah can attest to how I still didn't know much about sports when I first got here. So as the editorial editor, our high school newspaper, we published a newspaper once a month, and the editors were responsible for laying out the pages. And previously, anytime an adult would ask me, like, oh, Chloe, what do you want to do when you grow up? I had no idea. Like, it just never came to me until I was a senior in high school and I opened Adobe InDesign for the first time. Now, I know InDesign in the design community has some hate. It's not everyone's favorite program, but that's how I fell in love with design, because as we were laying the pages out in InDesign, I was like, oh my God, this is just like Tetris. Like, I'm just putting all the pieces together and I'm just like, it's so much fun. And I wasn't making the art. We had a cartoonist at the time, so I didn't really fully grasp the whole graphic design concept. But I came home one day and I was like, Mom, this is so cool. And she's like, Chloe, that's like a whole career, like you could just do that for your career. And I was like, okay, sold. So with no art experience, I decided when I go to college, I'm going to major in graphic design. And I remember I specifically was telling people when they were asking, and I actually got some negative feedback from people who I thought were my friends at the time. And one person had even told my sister behind my back, she's like, oh yeah, Chloe's not going to be able to do it. Like, she doesn't know anything about art. She's never going to make it as a graphic designer. So my kind of story is success out of spite. When I found that out, I was really upset, but it really kind of encouraged me to go on. And I've had, as I'll talk about later, many experiences where I've failed. And it's how you respond. Life is 10%, right? What happens to you, and 90% how you respond to it. So when I got to college, the first thing that I did was like, okay, well, in newspaper, I'll go work at the newspaper in college. So my first week, I got to SIU and I interviewed with our newspaper called the Daily Egyptian. And for some reason, they hired me. Don't really know why. I didn't have a really good portfolio or anything, but I was way Like I didn't know what I was doing. Like hands down, no clue. Like my boss, my first ever assignment was to resize an ad, like a pretty simple job. No clue how to do it. She like just used Photoshop or Illustrator. Never opened any of those files in my life. So I would go home after work and I just like spend hours. It would drive my college roommate insane, but I just watched YouTube videos after YouTube videos. And it was something that, because when you first get to school, it's not really graphic design at SIU. It's like your drawing and your basics of art. So I was doing my best to teach myself to try to stay up with my job. Um, Now I started college in the fall of 2020, no, fall of 2019. And something pretty major happened in the spring of 2020, which was my second semester at college. So I just got used to college, and then a global pandemic happened and sent everybody home. And as I mentioned earlier, I got my BFA in 3 years because I took a lot of AP honor courses in college, in high school, sorry. And so I was already on like an accelerated program. So I was already having less time to do what other kids were doing. And I had to like teach myself stuff to get prepared in time for my program, because at SIU, you'll take a portfolio review your sophomore year to get into the program officially, so that you'll start taking your more advanced classes. And then your senior year, your last semester is like a exit review. So I was trying my best to prepare for that because I'd have to take that my third semester in college instead of my fourth. So with all of that, the global pandemic, I think, also really set me on my path to where I am today, ironically, because when COVID happened, a lot of all the classes went online, campuses shut down. So I spent as much time as I could researching outside of class, and I just ironically bought an iPad like the week of lockdown. So I spent all this time like drawing on my iPad and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because like I said, I hadn't taken any art classes and it was all just a giant learning process for me. But what really helped me, well, actually, going back to that portfolio review, I failed my first portfolio review. It's something I hated. I never really talked about it, but I failed it, and I previously never gotten detention, never gotten in any kind of trouble. And my heart just sank the moment I got that email where it said, "You're on academic probation. You failed your portfolio review. Your two options are you can retake it next semester, or just it's not for you. Just pick a different program." And it was in that moment where I realized like this was a key moment where I could drop everything, just try something new because this wasn't working, or just really just keep going at it. And that's what I decided to do. And I guess it all worked out. But I did end up passing that next semester and actually got a scholarship because of how good my portfolio was. So again, tying back to success out of spite. So what kind of helped me with my portfolio too was something that I think is really important in college, is that you should be involved. You should try new things and try as much as you can, because college is this sort of risk-free sort of environment where if you're working full-time, you got a lot more consequences to your actions. But so besides the Daily Egyptian, I worked at this thing called the Saluki Ad Lab, which was a student-run ad agency at SIU. We created different ads for local clients, as well as we would compete nationally every year in the National Student Advertising Competition. My first year, we got, what was it? I think we got first at districts my first year and second at districts my next year. So I played around with advertising and I thought I liked it. So that summer leading into my senior year, I went and interned with this place called All People Marketplace. It was this e-commerce website, so it was remote. I didn't really do anything. Like it was over the summer and there's only me and another girl at this internship, and they didn't really know, like they were in a rebranding era. So we were just playing around with different logos, and it wasn't, the company was still building. It wasn't fully set yet. So after that happened, I was like, well, I kind of feel like I got cheated. Like I didn't learn anything that I wanted to learn. So that's how I began my career in athletics, was because I was sitting in my bed one day and I was like, okay, well, if that didn't work, then I want to try another internship. And I was just scrolling on my phone, and out of nowhere, I saw an ad for student interns for athletics. And I was like, okay, I know I shouldn't because I'm really busy, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I applied and got accepted, and I began interning. That's obviously how I ended up here. The internship with athletics was a huge part of my career today, and it's how I figured out what I wanted to do, because I would always, as someone who didn't have a lot of art experience, I would always get disheartened, or I was trying my best, but it sometimes wasn't good enough. And I'd walk out of class and I'd see the posters for athletics where there were these amazing posters, and I was like, that's not drawing. Like you don't have to just draw all the time in graphic design. And So that's why I applied and I interned and I fell in love with it. I began working as, I've worked primarily with women's basketball and somehow they ended up winning the conference, I think that year, which they hadn't done in a long time. And that's just my luck. I just showed up here right when John Summerall got hired. So I just show up at the right time, apparently. But that's why I really do think collegiate involvement is important because it's how I got to where I am today. And if you have some semesters left, I think you should really consider branching out, try new things like an internship with athletics. So what do we do over at Troy Athletics? So me, my interns, and my GA Hannah are responsible for the production of all design elements for Troy Athletics, 15 NCAA teams, which yes, it's a lot. There's a lot of sports happening, especially right now. If you didn't know, there's tennis, golf, track, baseball, softball, basketball. So it's been a time. And so like talk about here, we do posters, which I have some here. If you guys want some, we do schedule cards. All the graphics that you see in social media, we make large format designs like the trailer. We did that. And we do motion graphics. We do, if you go to a football game and you look on the video board, like that's the stuff that we have to make. Like someone, you don't really think about it when you're a fan, but someone has to make the stuff. We do logos like the conference championship logo. Packaging, recently worked on a packaging for some wine and some vodka labels. So what I love about athletics is that you never really know what you're walking into. Like every day, yeah.
Sorry, did you say wine and vodka?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Athletics.
Yes.
Did you bring any samples?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah. The vodka was actually in the wine was for DeMarcus Ware when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, which was a really cool experience because they gave him a bottle. So they have a picture of him like looking at this bottle. I'm like, well, that's cool. Football Hall of Fame is looking at my work. And so you never really know what you're walking into when you come into the office because there's just so many different projects that you can be working on at any given moment. One of my favorites though is social media graphics, just because you can have a lot of fun with it. You can go so many different ways. So here's some examples of some stuff that I do. I like to play around with motion a lot and kind of just try to be as creative as possible because when you think about it, how many tweets do you see a day? How many posts on Instagram? How many advertisements do you see? You have to be able to create something that's going to stand out and capture the attention of people when they're scrolling. Make them go, oh, that's Troy. So I've attached a Behance page. Let's see if that works. So your scrolling is backwards. If there's any works that you guys want to talk about, I can just go through a few of them. For example, this one is our battle for the belt against South Alabama. I put the fireworks in there. I really wanted to create this sense of energy because we were going to have a huge fireworks show for that game. So a lot of the because football game days are not templated, they're based off of what the game is. So I really wanted to try to capture the energy of the game. And I like this one a lot for multiple reasons, but that spray paint texture in the background, and this is something that I think really plays into the art concept, is that I hand spray painted this background and scanned it in a scanner and then uploaded it digitally. So it's definitely like, think about different ways you can combine different mediums. If you're really good painting, paint something, scan it in, you can use it digitally. And this one, we have a subscription called Envato Elements, so it helps us get some stock imagery. So that's how we got, because licensing is important. Don't commit copyright infringement. So we got some photos from Atlanta, and this year specifically, we began using photos of the players in the actual uniforms that were going to be worn at the game. Sometimes though, the photos weren't the best due to lighting or other specific reasons. So this was an example where I kind of had to get creative with it, play around with blending modes to really try to make it less low res. Yeah.
What's the website you said? Software you stock?
Envato Elements. Let's see.
Can I address that real quick?
Mhm.
So, you gotta make sure that if you're gonna use that stuff like in classes, that you talk to your professors ahead of time. If you try to turn it in for Will, he may say okay, but if you try to turn it in for Ed, he may say no way, correct? Sorry.
You're good. Like this one kind of went for more retro feel because it was homecoming. I was just playing with the helmets because they've never worn that helmet before. Other examples of game day. Their mascot is the Warhawks, so I put some Warhawks in there. There's another one. This is getting into game promotions. These will be posted the night before the game to be like, hey, there's a game tomorrow.
Can you maximize?
Maybe. Here we go.
Cool.
Ta-da. And a lot of these, like this photo was, again, it was taken in a dark setting, so I kind of just played around with like making it retro looking. This one's one of my favorites. Just playing with that stripe on the helmet. I actually just went into Illustrator and just tried to copy that pattern for that helmet, the stripe. And then these, game week. And then I think something that a lot of, when you're getting into the industry, people don't think about how many graphics you have to make. For example, like you don't think about someone has to make captain's graphics, someone has to make starting lineup. So that's just kind of little things. And I would try to keep like each game would have a theme. Like this was the Atlanta game, so it's in Atlanta. Our default was kind of that spray paint background. So someone's got to make, you're starting, you got to do your scores. And then stat graphics is a whole different category. Again, with the stats, it's more keeping in mind people scrolling, you want them to stop and look at the art, and like all of this at the end of the day is for the players and it's for the program. So you want to do your best to promote the program in the best way that you can. And again, I think with stat graphics, specifically typography and hierarchy is a really key concept to really just getting eye-catching designs. Some more examples.
Are y'all doing any of the photography in impacts? I know that athletics is doing this. In your book.
Not, I personally don't, but we have some students who take photos, and we have Joey Meredith across campus who does photos for us. Yeah.
Studio stuff.
Yeah. And then,
That's like an incredible, relationship to have, right? And so I think the designers, it's really important. I'm not trying to talk about your presentation,
you're good.
but I think that's really important for them to hear that they're working with a professional photographer, and that's one of the reasons that the work looks so incredible. Like, but don't take those photo classes for granted, and don't those photos, that those people that take really good photos. They probably those people you're in,
Yeah, I love Joey. We text all the time. I remember it was my second Monday actually on the job, was the football photo shoot my first year. And I never directed a photo shoot. So at photo shoots, I gotta be there. I'm like, if I want specific poses for specific players, I gotta tell them, I gotta pose them. And it's an introvert, it's kind of a lot, but it's really important as the season progresses because you need you need your imagery. And even like award graphics, like there's just so many different categories that you can make graphics for. Another one that I didn't put in here are promos, which I know are not the most exciting ones, but it's like you get a free foam sword if you come in this game, or you get like free whatever. Someone's got to make them, and that's how they get information across in an appealing manner. With my degree, Bachelor of Fine Arts in Communication Design, information and how we communicate was really heavily emphasized in the program. So that's something I always kind of look at when my goal is when I'm looking at a graphic, so I can see, yeah, the artwork should be cool, but I need to be able to tell what the graphic is saying. Like, I don't know if you all saw the North, was it, who was it that did that schedule graphic? Was it NC State? Yeah, there was a whole debate on Twitter about this graphic because it's really hard to read. So that's not what you want to do. That's my worst fear. Like the championship logo, I had to make that. Oh, that's it. And then there's another site. So there's this thing called Gondola too that people in our industry use. And even if you're not in sports, I recommend you look it up, because what Gondola does, it only tracks on Instagram and X. It doesn't load Facebook yet, but you can copy and paste the link of your post or your graphic that you made, and it will track it. and it will tell you at the top how many posts you have, how many likes you have, all that stuff. So it's really good when you go look for jobs or apply for other stuff. You can show them like, here's my metrics. And again, granted, this is not, you can't track Facebook yet. So, but
Now, I have a question. You know exactly which poster has the most likes.
huh?
You know exactly which one of yours has the most likes.
Probably.
Let's see.
Oh shoot. Actually, not off the top of my head. Actually, I do know which one it is.
I knew it.
How do I find it though? Hang on. Okay. Where is it? Oh, no, thank you. I know what it is. Yeah, it's this one with 22,000 likes because we made Alabama really mad. This one, we made Alabama fans really mad with this post. We did not expect this to blow up the way that it did, but this was back in December of last year, I think. We posted this and it got 2.7 million views. And it's the most viewed tweet in Troy Athletics history. We did not expect it to do this. Like, we were just posting it and we were sitting there just watching it go up and up and up, and we're like, oh God, what did we just do? And so yeah, this is definitely one of the most memorable. It's not even my favorite graphic that I made, but it does have the Alabama flag in the background, just running of the state. So I mean, best in Bama, that's also catchy. But yeah, this one got a lot of attention and made people mad. So
Does the message come from the athletic director?
So
Does Brent come and say, I want a graphic that's the best analysis?
not Brent exactly. Thank you for asking. So the structure is there's me, and then I have my boss above me is the sports information director, Adam Prendergast, and he is the one who comes up with, or his staff will come up with the content that they want in the graphic. And then above him is Kyle George. He's more branding, licensing, stuff like that. And then Brent, I never hear from him really. So, but yeah, so the sports, we talk about the relationship with your photographer. The relationship, especially in sports, with your sports information director is extremely important. Just because they're the ones who basically assign you graphics and tell you what to make. So yeah, how do I get back to the presentation? Oh, I see. Found it. No, I didn't. Okay, I did it. Okay, cool. So with all of that, first of all, does anyone have any questions? Anything else? Yeah. Definitely Adobe Photoshop, with Adobe Illustrator, InDesign, and occasionally After Effects. I do recommend, if you are a designer, especially up and coming, to learn After Effects and learn motion graphics, just because it is something that we're seeing a lot on applications recently, is a requirement to learn After Effects. Because even if you know just the basics, you can create stuff. Like, I make some video board motion graphics occasionally, and just knowing the basics of After Effects is really helpful. Thank you.
Who's that lady on the right?
Oh, that would be actually Hannah Kaiser. So we have some open positions. We're currently looking for interns. With the internship, you can get college credit through the university. And I really try to, the internship, I phrase it as you put into it what you want to get out of it. You set your hours, you tell me what you want to do basically, and I'll give you assignments based on your hours, based on that kind of stuff. But it's really as much effort as you want to put into it. We actually have two right here. If you guys, do either of you want to talk about what you do? And Emily, you've actually made a poster.
This is my.
You've been here as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got here, as an intern. And the more, like Chloe said, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. At first, when I started, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But, since then, I have made a few social media graphics. I have made a poster, which was really fun. So, yeah, just once you put into it, you get your experience, and it's actually really fun.
Nice, thank you. And sadly, Hannah, this is Hannah's last semester here. I'm gonna be really sad when she leaves. But so she's leaving in spring 2024. So that means we'll have an opening in our graduate assistant position. With the position, you get your tuition and books paid for, and it's also just really great experience. Hannah, the floor is yours if you want to talk about your, and Hannah was also an intern too. So it's been here for the long run.
Oh, are you? I didn't realize you were standing up to talk.
Well, she said,
Oh, yeah, please.
yeah, like Chloe said, I was an intern originally for a couple years under the previous director of creative services, and so that's how I got into it. And it was a big jump from intern to graduate assistant from workload. You're there full time, and it's a great opportunity to see what it's like to have a full-time design job in the sports industry. Because even though I'm not Chloe, I'm getting a lot of work thrown at me, and like people rely on you. Like if I'm not there, then like we split the sport responsibilities. And so while she does like football, men's basketball, baseball, I'm handling soccer, women's basketball, softball. And so you get kind of a feel of what it's like to have the responsibility of all that on you. And it's a great experience, portfolio builder. And while you're also getting your master's degree too.
And you want to talk, I mean, so you guys know, graduate assistant position is for somebody in graduate school, not just somebody who's graduated.
Yeah.
And I think they're, so do you want to talk about what degree you're in right now, what you're doing?
Yeah. And so when I got offered the GA job, it was like a week before undergrad graduation. And so I had zero intention on going to grad school, but I thought of it as this is a unique way to get my master's degree because likely I wouldn't go to grad school if this opportunity hadn't been offered to me. And so with Troy's master's programs specifically, the two kind of options that I was looking at was sport management or strategic communication. And I ended up going with strategic communication because I thought if I ever want to like get out of sports, not work in sports, a strategic communication degree I feel like would be more useful to me beyond that. And so my minor for undergrad was promotion, so a little bit of marketing and advertising into it. And so strategic communication kind of has those elements into it. And I'd previously not taken any communication classes, but the program can be finished in a year, but with athletics, they ideally want you to stay for 2. And so for my class workload, it's 1 class per term. It's really light. And as someone who didn't want to go to grad school, it's like just the perfect amount. And so, yeah, it's a 2-year program, 1 class per term. Take a summer class too. And then for StratCom, I'm not sure what it is for the other master's degrees, but at the end of it, you take a comprehensive exam and then you write like a 30-page paper. It's not a thesis program. They use those 2 elements to not make you do a thesis. So
the tuition, and you don't have to answer this. Are they fully paid for your tuition?
I think every GA spot is different in athletics, but for me, it's tuition and books is covered.
So you're going to grad school.
Yeah.
Not making working.
That's
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah, that's a great thing. That's
That's really awesome.
How many other graphic design GA positions are there other than sports?
And like at Troy,
Yeah, at Troy.
to my knowledge, there isn't, but during undergrad, I did intern with the main marketing department. And before, like when I was kind of wondering what I wanted to do, and then I told them I got offered the athletics GA job, they had said like, hey, we can potentially maybe open up a GA job just for the university. And so that's something that could happen, but I don't think they have that established. And they were, I think, in the beginnings of trying to get some graduate assistants in there, but I think right now they're still looking for a full-time designer too. So that opportunity is there, but
And
not to my knowledge.
sorry, I didn't know you said, yeah, if there is an interest, like in athletics or marketing or wherever, college, nursing, and you wanted to do something like that, you would come to Will or I or Greg and say, can we sit down with that chair and see if there's something, crossroads there, because departments do have some flexibility. In fact, we have some flexibility here in our time too.
And every department, every single department on this campus needs help with their vision.
Yes.
Every single one.
Yep.
And they will increasingly find ways to get people in there to help them. And whether or not it's full tuition books or it's class credit.
Correct.
Those options are going to be there for students that are primarily relying. That's you can be not as good, you can't be terrible. You can be, but really reliable, and you will stay in that position more than if you are brilliant in your design, but you call in sick one day, or you should play constantly. So that reliability is a big part of it. But I just had an apartment yesterday that we were having lunch about some other things, and the topic came up of need help with graphics, things like that, and response to that. That's something that I think would be great to think about in the day and we're trying to work it out. So it's all out there.
I will say, especially if you're interested in the graphic design graduate assistant, I would recommend interning at least for a semester, just to get your foot in to make sure that you actually like it. That's just my recommendation. You don't have to take it if you don't want to, but yeah, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit? I'm assuming this is your first job out of undergrad?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Graduate, now you're in charge of graphics for a Division I athletic program, not team, or program.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Not just interviewing here, but how many applications did you send out? Like what was your summer like after graduation?
Yeah,
How did that play out?
Chloe, can you dovetail that into who you work for in that relationship with Troy?
Oh, okay. I see. I'm picking up. Okay. So I obviously the job market is tough, and especially when I was graduating a year early, I had less time to prepare and less time to like practice and interview and all that fun stuff. But I had been working at my athletics internship since the like September, August of my senior year. So I had almost a year of experience in athletics. So that helped me a lot with interviews, and I did a lot of interviews. I even did some unpaid interviews, and don't you deserve to get paid, don't do that. Unless you have to, but that's a whole different story. But I did a lot of applications. Like it can feel really frustrating when you're submitting all these and you're not hearing anything back, or you're only getting rejection letters back. But especially when I was interviewing with places all over the country, like there's so many people applying, only so many people are going to get it. So there's a site called, if you follow them on Twitter, called Skull Sparks. They have like a list. I'll pull them out actually. Why am I doing this? There's 2 places that's for sports design specifically that you can look for. Yeah. Maybe. Where's your?
Sorry, Mike. You looking for Chrome?
Yeah. Oh, found it. Cool. Okay. So we're gonna go. Can I pull up your Twitter?
Huh?
Can I open Twitter?
I don't have.
Okay. Okay. Is it just Skull? Okay. I didn't realize they had a website. Good for them. So Skull Sparks, what's really cool about them too is that each day it's called like Thursday Sparks, Friday Sparks. They'll pick is it 4 posts? 3. So they pick 12 of the best graphics that they can see out of all of college athletics, and we'll share those. And it's kind of a big deal if you get on it and you can like, it's a huge bragging thing. But so they're really just, they focus on college athletics creatives. Like you can see here, they're having like they've grown so much. I'm so proud of them. They're having their first conference for like all sports creatives in Tulsa. Yeah. Where is job? Thank you. But these guys are really great because what will happen is universities will have a creative like video, photo, and design job, and they'll be like, okay, we're gonna post it to Skull Sparks. So they have a map here, and you can see all the different jobs that all the universities are offering, and a lot of these will just link to their websites. So you can just apply through there. So this is really great for college athletics specifically. So that's actually how I found Troy. I had never heard of Troy until I applied for it. Sorry, guys. But I applied for it. I saw the position. I was like, all right, this is what I want to do. I didn't think I was going to get it because I'm a child. I was 21 when I was applying for jobs. So I just applied and just crossed my fingers, hope for the good luck, and it all worked out. I had 3 interviews, one with my boss, Adam, one with Kyle, and one with Brent. And trying to think if there's anything else with the interview process. But so I had to send them my portfolio, my resume, and cover letter. And with your portfolio, I really recommend having a website or a digital, especially with online applications. You can just copy your link. We can look at mine, but it's glitching out a little bit because I lost my email access to it. So it's a work in progress. But Teamworks Online is also really great. They'll post all kinds of sports jobs. Yeah, Teamwork Online and it's Cold Sparks. Pull up my website real quick.
Teamwork Online, by the way, is really good for like, AA sports and, junior level sports. They do NFL, MLB and all that, but then also if you're looking for a farm team or something a little smaller, they'll be on there too.
So this is where I was talking about it's glitching out right here. I think I forgot to pay it, so that could be that. But yes. And then they offered, but as you mentioned, I don't technically work for the university. I work through a third party called Playfly, which is an organization that basically helps get creatives or it's primarily for sponsorship and that kind of role, but they've added design roles to it as well. And it just helps get it moves faster than the university's process, where it would take like maybe a year or 2 to create a position. They can do it in like months, weeks even. So I don't work for the university, so I don't get those cool university benefits, but it's still a good job. Like I still like my paycheck comes from Playfly and not from Troy. So I was a little hesitant on that at first, a little confused, but there's a lot of places to do it. It's not that scary. Yeah, made that cup. Did that. Yeah. Yeah.
No other connections.
Just show, well, I think he hasn't confirmed it, but I did compliment my boss's Star Wars art stuff that he had in his office, so I feel like that might have had a role in it. Yeah.
We like.
Mhm.
Call me through Troy or through.
That'll be through Troy.
Okay.
Yeah. With the internship, if anyone's interested, I can write my contact down. All you have to do is just email me your portfolio and resume. And we'll schedule an interview time and talk about that stuff. But yeah, so
When they do that, how many pieces do you suggest they send? Like, you don't want to see 30 pieces at a time.
it's true.
So,
Uh,
what do you have time and want to look at? And or what are you gonna make Hannah look at?
maybe your top 10.
Top 10.
Top 10. And I like to see as well, just because my university is actually a research university. So we spent a lot of time on process, research, all that stuff. So if you can show me your like process, your sketches, like all that stuff, that'd be really cool. And I know that helps, especially in the job field too, and you can explain like, okay, this is my final graphic, but this is how I got here. Like if you can break that down, so that way they understand, like, you know what you're doing basically. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just fake it till you make it. Yeah. Here's my social media if you guys want to connect or anything. Yeah. Wow, there's a lot. Yeah.
If we want to get in touch with you about, showing your portfolio plan internship, can we just reach out to social media? Or-
Here, I'll work on it. Yeah, let me grab. Oh.
I don't know, Zach likes to steal the markers. So,
Which website are you, or platform are you using?
My website, I use WordPress. I did a lot of WordPress before, but I have a paid template too that I use. I don't really know a lot of coding, so. Well, you can make sure.
CSS?
Yeah. I forget my own email by a lot, so I'm gonna just. Really? Okay.
How much AI are you using, if at all?
I can't speak for Hannah. It says Chloe. Good job.
That what it is, Chloe, sports marketing.
For me, for AI, the only AI I really use is like gender fill, but
Yes.
it's like sometimes like when I would any coaching hire a different team, we'll like, since we can't take photos of them in the studio before they announce it, like they'll have it posted things float on their hat. And I'll, instead of just using it for content over and out, I just use gender fill, like say it goes off and it gets off pretty easy. But like I've tried to do like kind of more specific kind of prompts into it, and it's still like not enough. So unless it's something like pretty generic where I'm essentially just erasing something that's trying to put something in, that's about as far as I can go. And I haven't really touched Illustrator, so
Yeah, I use it a lot. It's made my life so much easier with new coaching hires because we'll have to do like take their opposing logo off or like Hannah's talking about just generative expand in general is really helpful. It's made mock-up or like logo swapping way easier. And trying to think what else for the Texas State game, I tried to generate a cat and it gave me a 5-legged cat. So after that, I kind of was like, I'm not gonna mess with that a lot because especially with Envato Elements, we can find a lot of stuff on there. But I do think it's a really cool tool if used properly.
How much, are you guys doing, if any kind of like NIL work for athletes?
We can't really touch that.
Uh,
Yeah, no,
Okay, I wasn't sure.
yeah.
Is that on a player, about like the players usually have to handle that?
Yeah, or they have to find someone on their own.
because Troy's collective.
Mhm. Trojan Collective, isn't it? Yeah.
Like does the graphics and everything for it. And then the companies that like sometimes make like the fun t-shirts for them are just like separate designers, but or
Gotcha.
I think just talking about this photo real quick, it's working in sports. It's a lot of hours, and because with it, you get like last night, for example, I was at the office till 7 because my boss called me. He's like, "Hey, we found out men's basketball got 23 in like this poll. We need a graphic for it right now." So I was like, "All right, well, I guess that's what I'm doing." So I didn't have anything else to do, but so it's a lot of hours, but you get to really do really cool experiences that not a lot of other people can experience. Like this photo is from the Kansas State game this year. I got to actually go and I was on the sidelines for that whole game, like taking half the game, taking photos. Never thought I could do that. I've never been at like there was like 30,000 people. There was a lot of people there. And like I never thought this is what I would end up doing. So
Stories about game day, graphics on the scoreboard, and y'all look at it, but that's not what we were doing, or it comes out not the way that you meant for it to go.
yeah, there's a few instances. I got a little upset about it was because for the bowl eligible graphic for this year, I sent them because they're like, can we see a draft of it a few days before? So I sent them that. And then I sent them a new version, which I kind of did a lot of reworking and I changed the background color specifically. So after the game, I went and I checked it and they posted the draft. And I was like, so I had to have a nice talk with them about that. But yeah, there'll be things like I'll look at my art, especially from like a year ago, and I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, why did we do this? But it's every day is a learning adventure, you could say. And like I'm nowhere near perfect and I'm not ever going to be. And that's okay. And we're gonna learn and we're gonna grow. And every day is a new opportunity to get better.
Tommy, reached out
Yeah.
and he was really like blown away with some of your work.
Oh.
And, he, he basically, Greg and I said, like, we do, like, your stuff got his attention so much that he was doing the graphics,
Oh.
right? And somebody like that, from ESPN, who's been around for 35 years, that's some of the most like memorable stuff in ESPN history on his demo reel. And you get his attention, that's a pretty big deal, right? So bravo on that. Kudos all the way around to you and the team. he was really, I think he reached out to him, but
He did. I don't email him back. We talked. But yeah, it's a definitely, like you said, team effort. I really want to thank Hannah's been my rock through all of this. Like I said earlier, when I first got here, I didn't know much about sports, and I did drove Hannah insane because we'd be sitting in the press box for football and something would happen. I go, what just happened? And it would drive her. By the end, though, she got really frustrated this one time at the conference championship because it was an interception, but they put like it was a pick six, I think, or they put something that it was an interception, but I didn't know like it meant that. I turned and I said, what is this? And she goes, it's the last game of the season. You don't know what this is. And that was the one time, but you've been my humor. She's my rock. She's perfect. I'm going to miss her so much. She can't leave. I keep telling her. And of course, Emily and Sydney are so helpful. I can't do it without them. I'd go crazy probably. So thank you guys.
what is your total team size? Like max capacity, how many?
I think was it the most we had was 6, right? Yeah, 5 would probably be the max. That was too much, was 6 or 7. Especially it's more helpful because in the fall you don't have as many sports going on. But like I said, this time we've got all the sports happening at once. So it's really great because I can be like, okay, here's men's tennis, here's women's tennis, go crazy, do what you want to do. And you can kind of create the branding and style. And I think it's a really good portfolio piece, but I'm probably biased. So
More questions for Chloe or for Hannah or general about life? You can really get into it. You gotta know where to be. Thank you guys again for coming out. Please, hang out and talk with us and enjoy some pizza and, don't feel like you guys have to rush off and it's students included, maybe, everyone hang out and enjoy yourself. And thank you, Chloe, for you and Hannah for coming out and doing this. I remember, I still to this day remember your history project. I can't believe you never showed it to her. So Hannah did a sports theme pieces where she designed a fake sports theme for Birmingham Colts, right? And it was really, really impressive. And she ends up with sports. And where are you going next? Gotta get work. Do you want to stay in sports?
Right now, yeah. I think I want to.
Back to the sports. Okay. Okay.
Trying to get called up to the big show, huh? Hey, Emily, I don't know if you're still online, but do you have any questions for Chloe or Hannah?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out. We appreciate you. I'm probably gonna kill the recording now if that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. Thank
Thanks
you
for
again
having
for
me.
coming out. We really appreciate it. I don't know.
Bye.
Oh, hold on. I'm gonna see if anyone else is online. Okay, it's just you. Thanks again, Emily. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.